Hey everyone, today I want to analyze why the speedrunning community is so
The voice you just heard, my friends, was that of a gentleman named MrHyruleGamer. A name you might not be familiar with, especially if you're fairly new to the speedrunning community or don't follow much beyond a couple of runners or creators. However, the clip you just heard was the opening line of a video released just about a year ago. A video so controversial, so contentious, and considered so truly disgusting by some people that MrHyruleGamer, or MHG, was exiled from the speedrunning community for having made it. So what kind of terrible ideas or wrongthink could MrHyruleGamer have espoused to deserve such a terrible punishment?
I've broken it down into 3 simple parts. Please know this is just my opinion. So part 1 is speedrunner mentality. Speedrunning in itself is a very antisocial activity. For some reason too, speedrunners seem to lack any sort of editing skills and have no interest in actually uploading content.
I guess it wasn't that bad then. And in fact, in this video, I'm going to make the case that MrHyruleGamer was correct, that his video had to be made to address and fix serious issues in the speedrunning community, and that MrHyruleGamer's exile made him a martyr who saved speedrunning, making it a better place for everyone who is involved with it today. I'm going to go over MrHyruleGamer's original video point by point, talk about how the community reacted, and what's happened in the years since. But first, we need to take a look at the man behind the video himself, MrHyruleGamer. So MrHyruleGamer was a young chap, but a passionate fan of speedrunning.
I just thought that was interesting because I got introduced to speedrunning in 2013 by one of my friends. We were in high school and we had like a break period, and he like brought it up on the computer of that run of 2013 of when Cosmo did any percent, and it like blew our minds. Like it was crazy. Like that's basically how we got introduced into it all.
Over a couple of years of hanging around the community, he grew frustrated with what he saw as the deterioration of speedrunning as a whole. MHG began making videos about speedrunning himself, but quickly found himself putting together cringe compilations, which proved to be very popular speedrunning content. Many speedrunners resented that MrHyruleGamer and some others were getting so many views on cringe compilation videos, they felt it was putting speedrunning in a bad light. But to me that always begged the question, why don't they just put speedrunning in a good light? Why don't the salty speedrunners make quality, informative, interesting content of their own, get hundreds of thousands of views, and show the common people the fascinating, relatable, and heroic side of speedrunning? MrHyruleGamer saw things fairly similarly, which led to him making this video, The Problem with Speedrunning. MrHyruleGamer split his video into 3 parts, so we'll take a look at each part and discuss whether MHG was right or wrong in what he said.
Hey everyone, today I want to analyze why the speedrunning community is so I've seen a lot of comments on my videos asking why speedrunners are so cringe and just crazy overall. I've broken it down into 3 simple parts, so it should be pretty easy to follow along. Please know this is just my opinion, and I'm making this video mainly because people think I criticize and make fun of the community just because I'm a little bitch or something, and that's fine, you can think that, but honestly I think there are huge issues in the speedrunning community that I've observed over time. Yeah, let's just dive headfirst into it. Here we go. Holy. So part 1 is speedrunner mentality. Speedrunning in itself is a very antisocial activity. excluding going to events or streaming. Since speedrunning is so antisocial in its nature, it attracts a lot of people that have antisocial issues. In combination with speedrunning, which is basically staring at a screen playing a video game doing the same thing over and over again for consecutive hours to try and get a better outcome each time, can get quite frustrating after a while. On top of that, the majority of speedruns happen on twitch.tv, and with there being no tangible viewership for speedrunners to engage themselves in socially, there are no consequences for their social behavior except maybe their mom coming down into the basement to yell at them.
Oh, don't destroy my run like that! What is going on?
It's only 1 o'clock. And this is the weekend.
I don't care.
Of course you don't. You don't care about anything.
No, I don't care.
For some reason too, speedrunners seem to lack any sort of editing skills and have no interest in actually uploading content other than just streaming on Twitch TV. There's also this classic speedrunner style where the stream's in 360p, there's an obscure graphic covering a quarter of the screen, and they have like this headset mic that you can imagine, like been stepped on 5 times or something. I believe these are the main reasons as to why potential people wanting to be a part of the speedrunning community are deterred. There's a lack of communication, there's a lack of explanation, there's a lack of content, there's so much that the speedrunning community is slacking in. It pisses me off when people comment on my videos saying that, oh, the speedrunning community is so great, why am I tainting it? No, there are serious issues in the speedrunning community. It's damn impossible to learn a speedrun without someone that already knows how to speedrun the game teaching you, which is a serious problem. If you're trying to attract new people and get them more engaged in the speedrunning community and let it flourish, you have to make content, you have to explain things, you have to communicate things. It's as simple as that.
Obviously, a number of speedrunners took offense to MrHyruleGamer here, but the thing is, he was generally right. Speedrunning is obviously a much less social event than, say, beach volleyball, or going out with friends. And even on the nerdy spectrum of activities, speedrunning is still less social than something like Dungeons and Dragons, or Magic the Gathering. And so of course there's going to be a lot of overlap between speedrunning and the people who are among the most antisocial on the planet. This isn't to ridicule speedrunning for being the most degenerate act man has ever come up with, or chock full of losers, but it is important to understand. Because a side effect of having a heavily antisocial population in speedrunning is that these speedrunners feel no social responsibility to make their little corner of the world a better place for others. MrHyruleGamer then touches on this when he talks about speedrunners not creating any content, tutorials, or anything of value for others who are interested in speedrunning, which was absolutely true a year ago. MHG's goal here wasn't to make fun or pick on the cringy kids in speedrunning, but simply to explain why speedrunning had so little content around it as a consequence of it being largely inhabited by antisocial people. I think we can generally agree that having access to tutorials and interesting content about speedrunning is a good thing, and so the lack of it is indeed a negative thing, or a problem with speedrunning. Having to find a Discord or Tiny Chat room and always begging someone to help hold your hand and teach you a speedrun strategy or technique, or always have to find someone to ask questions about why people do certain things in speedrunning is taxing. It's inconsistent, and in some cases it's impossible if the game you're looking for is small and people are unwilling to help when you need them. But this could all be solved with tutorials or video content. This leads into the second part of MrHyruleGamer's video. Who does speedrunning have who would be capable or willing to make such content and improve their little corner of the world?
The loss of leadership is rather quick and to the point. People like Cosmo, Trihex, Siglemic, and Stivity Bobo were the anchors in the speedrunning community and really built it up into what it is now. They also played classic games loved by a lot of people: Ocarina of Time, Mario 64, Yoshi's Island, Banjo-Kazooie, and in that, they were also really good personalities and streamers, which brought in a lot of new people and made people interested in speedrunning. With these figures not speedrunning as much anymore, it creates a huge rift in the community, and it also paints it out to be much dull and much more cringy, and it lets these rage, less popular, less liked people to take the spotlight over them.
The leaders MHG named here all departed speedrunning or stopped streaming speedruns for a long period of time. I wonder if the cause of that is at all related to anything addressed in MHG's video. There are also people who produced interesting content whose opinions were largely valued by the community, and it made speedrunning accessible to others. The best example of this is the departure of Siglemic, who was the most popular speedrun streamer in 2012 and 13, and for good reason. He was funny, charming, associated with high-level gamers from other communities like Smash Bros. Or esports, and could often get in excess of 10,000 viewers at the end of his Super Mario 64 120-star world record speedruns, which given Twitch's growth and overall viewership at the time, would probably be the equivalent of 100,000 viewers in 2018 terms. Siglemic also created a guide to learn the 70-star speedrun category of Super Mario 64. The guide usually had 2 or 3 choices of videos to follow, displaying strategies for each star, ranging in difficulty from beginner to world record chaser, making it super easy for anyone who wanted to get involved to start speedrunning. He was just a great representative of the game and of speedrunning as a whole. Siglemic stopped playing and streaming around the same time his records were beaten by Punkation, who then became the face of the Super Mario 64 community. Punkation, however, pretty much just streamed his gameplay and never really created any sort of content, guides, or tutorials for the game, rather becoming mostly known for posting lewd anime pictures and other memes to his Twitter. This just embodies the loss of leadership which was happening through the departure of many great leaders from the early Twitch era, creating such a dead time for speedrunning through 2015 to 2017 or so. Speaking of those years, how many great AGDQ runs do you remember during that time?
And last but not least is Games Done Quick. Games Done Quick is basically took everything I explained in part 1 and put it together in a community with thousands of people at an event streamed live to hundreds of thousands of people. What could go wrong? If anything, Games Done Quick has normalized the cringe and awkwardness and the oversaturation in the speedrunning community. Games Done Quick live streams a week straight of socially awkward nerds sitting in a convention in a hotel, speedrunning a game for hours upon hours while hundreds of thousands of people on Twitch are watching. Games Done Quick literally made one of the most infamous memes of speedrunning from the Chibi and Caveman situation.
I would really prefer if you would be quiet.
And then there was that crazy Crash Bandicoot runner the next year.
I swear I'm gonna become a buddy one day.
Become.
And there's been so much more cringe that has happened in between and still happening at Games Done Quick. And what pisses me off the most is that Games Done Quick gets upset when an awkward moment happens, or a cringe moment happens, or something doesn't go the way that they plan. Like, are you kidding me? Look at your event. Look at the audience you're attracting and bringing in. You'd have to be crazy to think everything will go just fine. Just because Games Done Quick donates to charity does not mean that their stream or event shouldn't be criticized. You have to realize that in reality, Games Done Quick is one of the main reasons that the speedrunning community is the way it is.
MrHyruleGamer's last point is simply that AGDQ thrusts these problems into the forefront by often featuring antisocial or boring runners in front of thousands of people, and could do a better job of vetting what will appear on stream. Now, this is the least relevant point to this video, so I won't spend much time on it. I just think he wants something to tie it all together. But I think it is fair and generally agreed upon that the best AGDQ runs were from 2012 to 2014, in the era of the leaders, while the more recent GDQs have generally had more criticism for fewer interesting runs. If you've ever been around the speedrunning community during an instance of drama, or happened to follow a number of speedrunners on Twitter thinking you were going to get cool updates or insights on your favorite speed game, but had your feed filled up with 10,000 salty posts about some speedrunner doing something they don't approve of instead, you can probably guess what the reaction towards MHG's video was like.
And it's worse than that, my dear.
Yeah, multiply that by about 1,000 times. The reaction and backlash to someone who dared to criticize speedrunning was unmatched in the 6 years of speedrunning community drama on Twitch, and perhaps may never be passed. On top of the usual thousands of angry tweets, the group of speedrunners, whom I like to call the speedrun hobbyists, for their frequent and all-encompassing debunking argument of any criticism towards speedrunning that Yeah, well, speedrunning is just a hobby. Well, they found it fit to flood MrHyruleGamer's Discord to the point of it being unusable. I found my way in there amidst all the chaos, and there was one text channel locked down with about 6 active users. MHG made me one of them, in part for my vocal support of his right to speak his mind about speedrunning, but there was just no saving it. This was also around the same time Club Penguin was shutting down, so the meme speedrun of getting banned from Club Penguin was quite popular, with posts of the run shooting up our speedrun regularly. As an homage to that, the speedrun hobbyists were also posting and tweeting out their world record speedruns of getting banned from MrHyruleGamer's Discord, just making a complete joke of tormenting MHG and his friends. As we'll find out later, MHG deleted this video, among others, so most of the responses have been lost. But I did find this partial comment from Toria, Ocarina of Time any% world record holder, who became sort of the figurehead for MHG's opposition, and took part in flooding MHG's Discord. Now, I can't blame Toria too much. He was only 17 or 18 years old at the time, and I mean, I certainly posted some dumb things and had some silly views when I was that age, but his comment was very typical of a rebuttal of MHG's argument, so we need to take a look. Speedrunning isn't something everyone wants to squeeze content out of. Some people just want a hobby, and streaming speedruns on Twitch for a few friends to watch, or just to be able to submit your runs easier through the Twitch VOD. This isn't uncommon at all. The people who don't bother making content about speedrunning are the kind of people who don't care about growing speedrunning as a brand, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just a hobby they have. They have no responsibility to make it easy for everyone to get into. If you really want to get into speedrunning, you won't need it fed to you through a 20-minute YouTube video where 40% of the video is, "Hey guys, what's up? How's it going? X here, back at it again with another video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, hee hee." Okay, seriously, does anyone in speedrunning do that? The people who care about actual speedrunning do some actual digging themselves and get to where they want to be. If people want to squeeze content and slap around speedrunning as a content brand, go ahead, as long as you let the people who want to speedrun do just that. Alright, so what's wrong with what MrHyruleGamer's doing? I'm sorry, but if you can't get into speedrunning without this whole content brand being slapped on top of it first, I'd rather you find a different hobby. Speedrunning doesn't need leadership in terms of big names like Siglemic. I'm sorry your little speedrunner nostalgia sources are gone, but if people aren't interested in speedrunning outside of big names like that, I'd rather have those stream monsters stay out of chats. Find somewhere else or cry about your oh-so-great Cosmo and Siglemic. It's just annoying and doesn't help anything. You can also find some more reaction by searching MrHyruleGamer into Twitter, browsing by latest, and scrolling down to February 2017. There are only a couple hundred tweets or so remaining, but it really brings back the memories. And man, you can really taste the enraged salt still to this day. The last straw for MHG was when the speed hobbyists found and posted a picture of him, along with other personal information, which he had not shared publicly himself. MHG was rightfully worried this sort of doxing would continue, and he shut things down, deleting most of his speedrunning videos and disappearing into the wilderness. But not before I got him on my own stream to sit down and chat about what was going on.
I think all the people that are like attacking the video, like again, they have every right to, but I have been talking like one-on-one a lot with people, like just one-on-one, and at first they're kind of skeptical, and I kind of explain them my points and just like, pretty much what the video said, and they kind of understand where I'm coming from in a sense, and I think that the speedrunning community that's like lashing out at me doesn't need to see that there are two sides to every argument. Like there are speedrunners that agree with what I'm saying, like maybe not fully, but there are points that I brought up that they could resonate with. The reason these videos, even because like I've made like some cringe comps too, I mean, of speedrunning, and all those I think are taking off because of just the lack of content in the speedrunning community. Pace spin is one of those things that just deters people from the outside. Like when I first got into speedrunning and I saw these pace spin things, I'm like, oh, this looks like it could be like a Google Doc or something. I don't know. It just is one of those things where it's like, why are we using this still? It's all out there, but like, it went from people arguing about the video to people like posting pictures of myself being like, this is what MrHyruleGamer looks like. And I was like, I don't know what that has to do about the video. Yeah, I would just say, like, at the end of the day, I really want everyone that has been criticizing and been going crazy over it to know that it's literally just my opinion. It's a debate. I see this as kind of a discussion and debate. I'm always up for that. If you really think that the community's fine, then, why would you give this any attention at all and just keep doing what you're doing? Just keep speedrunning, keep the good vibes rolling in the speedrun community then.
What may surprise you, though, is the effect that this simple conversation had on some other speedrunners. At first, they were quick to jump in with the speed hobbyist hive mind, but someone like myself, one of their own, a speedrunner, having MHG on my stream, largely agreeing with him, maybe made them think twice about the legitimacy and accuracy of MHG's criticism. Or perhaps seeing the way the speedrun community treated MHG for making one critical video made some people question the kind of people they'd been associating with. Or perhaps they just needed some time to sit and think about it. Cheezo5, the new face and world record holder of the Super Mario 64 community, was one of those very people.
I sent a comment on this video as well. It didn't really get as popular as Torjay's or the others, because I made it as a reply to one of his comments or whatever. But either way, when I first saw this video, yeah, I immediately thought of the whole, oh my god, how can you say that? Yeah, it's true, but it's unfair, and all you want to do is, bash the community and whatever. But then I saw your video when you talked to him on Discord, on YouTube, like the whole 25-minute thing.
Yep.
And, I mean, unfortunately, I have to admit that you guys changed my mind. And the thing with Torj, he's basing his huge argument on what he thinks about speedrunning himself, and not about what he's not even. I don't think he's agreeing or even thinking about what other people feel about it. When he was saying like, "Oh, it's just a hobby" and whatever. That whole point was like the most important thing for me that you guys talked about. When you guys were like that people that we just don't realize, like us ourselves, we don't realize how important what we do is to people and how big of an impact it actually is. Yeah, you guys kind of opened my eyes up, and it made me kind of realize, holy, what I'm doing really is a big deal to my viewers, and my viewers tell me the same thing on my chat every night, and it doesn't really sink into my head. And I don't know why. It's weird because people come in my stream and it's, thank you so much for all the streams. You made me feel so happy. You made me feel like I can have fun with games and speedrunning, and you made me want to start speedrunning. And I look at these messages and I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. But I don't realize, how important it is. And it really, I wish that us as a community would realize that. When you said earlier about kind of people not putting content out there or like trying to help community make videos, stuff like that. I've been really wanting to do that so bad, especially nowadays. I've been really wanting to just put stuff out there, make videos, even if it's like not tutorials about the game, but just making videos of talking about speedrunning experiences and trying to help people and like open up the community to the public more.
After the dust settled, it seemed that many others agreed, and very quickly, they took the responsibility upon themselves to better the community around them. Cheese is a great example, as he started the Two Dads podcast with his Super Mario 64 pal Simply. We can also see this well by looking at a growth of a number of speedrunning YouTube channels or other speedrunning initiatives that took place over the past year since MrHyruleGamer's video. Summoning Salt, one of the most acclaimed speedrunning YouTubers, started his world record progression series around this time last year. He had 30,000 subscribers at the end of February 2017. He now has more than 200,000. Easyscape, another high-quality speedrun content creator. He's gone from 45,000 to 105,000 subscribers over this time. Glad Jonas, everyone's favorite speedrun memer and promoter of small channels. He wasn't even making videos a year ago. He's now at 50,000 subscribers. Apollo Legend was around 20,000 subscribers last February, now over 140,000. OmniGamer published a book on speedrunning within the last year. The two of them teamed up to take down Todd Rogers. I mean, this is stuff that's happened in this time frame. Mitch Flowerpower does really cool regular interviews with other speedrunners on his stream. It's just clear that there are a number of people who, whether directly inspired by MrHyruleGamer or not, decided to get it together and start creating not just content, as some would label it, but true things of value for others to enjoy. A lot of people have started taking responsibility, despite speedrunning being only a hobby, to make it a better place. And I do think MrHyruleGamer had a very large part in this, lighting a fire under everyone's ass, getting people just pissed off enough, painting the speedrun hobbyists as insufferable as they've ever been, that the people who were waiting for the opportunity to lead had no choice but to step up and do it right then and there. So where is MrHyruleGamer now? The man who inspired many to start creating great content, thus saving speedrunning. No one knows, unfortunately. MrHyruleGamer had a brief return in May 2017. Once Glad Jonas started making videos, he, Apollo, and I tried resummoning MrHyruleGamer, which actually worked hilariously when it was revealed MHG and Apollo went to the same high school and didn't even know it. They met up, took this picture, made one video, but MHG just couldn't follow it up with anything, and he hasn't been heard from since, despite more attempts to resummon him. His passion was gone. You know, passion. That's a good word for what happened to him, if you know the religious context. There was nothing left for MHG to do in this world of speedrunning. He sacrificed himself, his own well-being, his friends, his sense of community, his Discord, his privacy, all to save speedrunning, to inspire others to step up and create great things for all to enjoy, to treat each other with love and respect. And that, in my mind, is what makes MrHyruleGamer the martyr who saved speedrunning. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video or thought it was quality speedrunning content, do leave it a like. It's what MrHyruleGamer would have wanted. And definitely not what Toria would have wanted. And if you didn't like it, let me know why. Maybe I'll heart and sticky your comment if it's just salty enough. Do you think I'm giving MrHyruleGamer too much credit? Is this massive golden era of speedrunning content and leadership just a coincidence? I always love to hear your thoughts, and all I have to say to wrap this up is that MrHyruleGamer, if you're somewhere out there and you watch this video, just know that you're dearly missed, and we hope you're doing well. Stay true, all of you, and I'll see you in the next stream or video.